Very good evening and namaste to one and all of you. After a gap, I'm very happy to join once again with the Arsha Yoga family, Harilalji and his team to interact with you all. And we will be discussing, of course, it will be a very short lecture or a short note, I should say, about the importance of diet in Ayurvedic treatment. Actually, food, that is the better word than the word diet. Food is an important element of any treatment. It is not a new concept, actually. It was so from the very beginning of the history of all medical systems in all parts of the world. It's not limited to India or America or Europe. In all parts of the world, diet was always an integral part of the care of the sick persons. But unfortunately, with the institution called medicine became more and more professionalized and commercialized, I should say, this dietary element became marginalized, less and less important. And the pharmaceutical agents, what we call as medicines, they gained the sort of prominence. They became more and more important. There is an ill-pill equation. You are ill, you have a pill. That became the equation. And that made the entire act of healing or the practice of medicine very passive in the sense the person who is receiving the treatment or the person who is getting treated has nothing to do but to pay his bills. He is a passive agent. The doctor or the physician or somebody who is delivering the care is supposed to be someone who knows everything, and he prescribes the medicine and you consume it. You have no role in your health care. So that way, I think to some extent, health has become even some sort of a commodity which you can purchase with your money. So that is why I'm saying that the healthcare, the role of the person who is receiving the treatment has become so passive. There is no active role in it. But it was not like that in the earlier days. There was an active involvement of the person who is getting treated. Even though that trend has changed in most of the healthcare systems or medical systems, Ayurveda continues to be one among such systems in which an active role is given to the person who is getting treated. That is very important. So the classical Ayurveda still operates in such a fashion, such a way that the person who is getting treated is very important. How does this operate? Or what is the way in which this is delivered? And what is the way in which a Vaidya is assessing a person who has come seeking treatment? So that is the important aspect which I would like to highlight in this short lecture. The Vaidya, any Vaidya who is practicing the classical Ayurveda will be assessing the person, the seeker of health. I don't want to use the word patient. The seeker of health with some very basic or the fundamental aspects. Primarily, he tries to understand the disease in detail, with all possible details, in its completeness, I should say. So understanding the disease in its completeness, that is the first thing. Number two, understand the possible cause illness. Understanding the cause behind the illness. What made this person sick? That is very, very important. Because you cannot bring a person to wellness as long as the cause for illness is existing or continuing to exist. The effect is always a reflection of the cause. Effect is always a reflection of the cause. So if the cause is for the effect called illness, you cannot expect wellness. If you have to experience wellness, the cause of illness should be modified in such a way that they are modified as the cause of or the causes of wellness. It is common sense, simple. The simple logic of cause and effect relationship. So while exploring the causes of a disease, a Vaidya will be looking at certain components of the life of this patient. Is it because of some inheritance that this person is ill? Then the cause is beyond our reach. Or three major components other than this inheritance. Three major components. Number one, the influence of the climatic elements, climate. Number two, the way in which the person is engaging himself with the sensory world. The way in which the person is using his senses. How his senses and the objects of his senses. That means the five senses and their objects. Objects are outside. And how does this person engage with the sensory objects? Is it in an optimal way or suboptimal way, or Is it some sort of an overindulgence? And the third component is the lifestyle in general. And in that lifestyle in general component, many things will be considered, like his occupation or job, then his exercise pattern, then his other activities, which will even include the sexual act. And the fourth one, or the most important one, is the way in which he is using his food. So food is or can be considered as the most important element among these four. There are many other things like sleep pattern, his social relations, mental stress. All these things are contributing, and which can be accommodated well within the framework of lifestyle. So we are focusing in this session, we are focusing only on one aspect, that means the food. So always an Ayurvedic prescription will be having some suggestions on how to eat, what to eat, when to eat, etc., etc. This is very, very important, because food is supposed to be the basic fuel which is used for building your body, maintaining your body, and repairing it. And when you are sick, body is in a crisis, it needs special type of approach, special type of intervention, which will facilitate the body's innate capacity to repair. So the food you eat should be perfectly in tune with it. You should touch that target. So food is becoming a very important component. And that food is a little bit different from the concept of nutrition. Nutrition is all about the technical aspects of your food. How much calories it can deliver, how much protein will be there in it, how much carbohydrate will be there in it, how many fat will be there. So it is more about the technicalities of your food, whereas food has many other components behind it. Food has religious value, food has cultural value, food has economical value, ecological value, ethical value, many things which has nothing to do with the nutrition. And health is not just a technical term. Health is not just a technical term. It is the experience of the person. It is the experience of the person of the sort of richness, the sort of abundance, the sort of wellness, the sort of peace of mind. So it is not just reflected technically on a report card printed in a laboratory, or the report of a scan done in a scan center. It has much, much more dimensions than these technicalities. The food in a region, in a particular country maybe, is the manifestation of continuous evolution, maybe which might have taken hundreds of years considering the climatic situations in that area, the availability of water, air, sunlight, all these things in that particular area. And interestingly, the human beings, the animals, the plants, they all share these sort of climatic conditions. So somebody who is living in a tropical weather, he has got his own biological peculiarities. Even though we are all human beings, the body of somebody who is living in a tropical climate and somebody who is living in a temperate climate, they have got different types of adaptability, capacity to withstand climatic agents like sunshine, wind, rain, seasons like summer, winter, monsoon. The capacity is different. And that capacity is evolved over hundreds of years. So the regional food or the traditional food, excuse me, that somebody is consuming traditionally for many years will be considering all these aspects, and this should be an active component of the treatment of his or her illnesses. And the focus on the food gives the Vaidya a chance to convince the person the fact that why he became ill. Of course, considering all other causative potential factors in total. So that is the beauty of it. So when we are engaging food to the clinical picture, to the prescription part, there are many wonderful things happening. Number one, as I mentioned earlier, the person who is sick is given with a chance to introspect. What made me sick? And for an intelligent person, that sort of an introspection opens up many ways for self-correction. What should I do and what should not? So that is a big transformation. So the treatment is becoming corrective more than curative. The curative aspect may be revolving just around a few pharmacological preparations, what we call as medicines. But a corrective aspect that spins around the potential of transformation. The individual is transforming. That is the most important aspect. He himself is getting convinced that, okay, if I take this food, I'm going to be sick again. And if I can focus on this type of a change, I think that itself is going to make me healthy. That is the biggest aspect. Number two, it makes the medical prescription as simple as possible, as light as possible. The number of items in the prescription is going to be 1 or 2. If you don't focus on these dietary aspects, it is going to be 8 or 9. So the number of medicines required for treating a person is becoming minimal. That is another but a simple but very crucial advantage of focusing on dietary aspects. Number 3, when you are convinced of the importance of food, and when you switches over to a healthy eating style, in terms of the stuff you eat, the way you eat, many other things. I'm not going to that details because that's a very elaborate topic. When to eat, what to eat, how to eat. But when you are into that pathway of healthy living, the results of the treatment that you get is going to be more sustainable. It's going to be everlasting. And when you are switching over to a healthy eating habit, healthy lifestyle, what you get is not just a cure of the present problem, a cure from the present ailment, but you are going to enjoy health in total. It is not just a matter about handling the present crisis. It is sustainable. So at least considering these three major advantages of focusing on food, Ayurveda, classical Ayurveda always stresses on including suggestions on diet, food, healthy eating, along with a medical prescription of any ailment. Generally, there is a technical term what we use for this. It is known as pathyam. That is the word we use, pathyam. When we say pathyam, that means something which is helping in the patham. Something which is helping in the padham is called pathyam. What is the meaning of padham? Sanskrit term. You may be familiar with another English term, P-A-T-H, path. That is actually the Sanskrit term padh. Padh is path in English, and the meaning is way, road, passage. So something which is helping in the patha is known as pathyam. What is the significance of path here? What path you are talking about? The path towards health. The path towards wellness. The individual feeling of that richness, that abundance of well-being. That is the path here. So why are you discussing about the path to health? Because the person is sitting in front of you, seeking consultation and making some sort of a realization that right now I am traveling through the path of illness. I want to change it. I want to change my route. I want to change it to the path of health and wellness. So obviously, it should not be limited to the prescription of certain medicines, but it should be more corrective. The individual should be clearly convinced about which is the path towards that royal path, the highway to health. Which is the highway to health? So when we are talking about that highway to health, it is becoming the responsibility of any Vaidya to suggest positively on the healthy eating habits. That is the significance of dietary suggestions related to Ayurvedic treatment. So that is what I have to share with you on this evening. As I mentioned, it was a very small topic, but very important topic. It was a very small lecture, but I hope I conveyed the essence of what I really wanted to convey. Thank you very much. Thank you.